Well, hey, welcome to Dr. B show here. We've kind of got a pretty impressive guy in today. I'm pretty excited to kind of have this conversation with him and talk a little bit about what he does, why he does it, how he's gotten to where he is. I believe you're only 28 years old and kind of hitting some goals and kind of hitting his stride, you could say. So he's an elite runner. And so we have Charles Lawrence with us today. And the most impressive thing he's done a lot of impressive things in his life, but recently, a couple months ago, he is the world champion. I believe it's a record, right? A world record.
World record.
World record holder of the 50 mile. So for those of us, I don't know if anybody out there has run marathons. I've done marathons in the past, and I was pretty excited to get a 4-hour marathon, which means I'm running, 8, 10, 9-minute miles. He was below 5 minutes in some of those miles, weren't you? I mean, you were hitting 5.5s and like consistently to hit that goal.
Yeah, overall average was 5:46. So I positive split to it. I had a lot of money in the bank, a lot of money, a lot of time to work. I thought I was going to break it by a lot more than I did break it. Yeah. Because I was out relatively hot compared to what I needed to run. But yeah, averaged 5:46 throughout, and it was well under 5:40 for a fair majority of it. So
if anybody's out there, I have sprinted a 6-minute mile once in my life, and it was like throw up afterwards. So that's how hard it is for normal people. So obviously he's not normal, which kind of brings us back, back into let's go back in time a little bit. So let's go back to like junior high, you're first getting into, track and field and stuff. So take me back to when you kind of first realized you had some kind of an aptitude for this.
Yeah. So this would be definitely a big credit to my mom. Yeah. So as you know, a client of yours and all that, worked with you for several years, and myself. So my parents, I grew up in Foley, Minnesota, a small town near Way Park where we're at right now, and they got divorced when I was in first grade, kind of towards the back end of that year. So like summer was fine or whatever, but then it got to the fall. My mom was a cross country coach, that fall it was either go to cross country practice or go to daycare.
Wow.
And it was like I was pretty active, kind of a competitive kid, kind of a hothead kid. I'm like, I'm not going to daycare. That sounds lame. Like I'm gonna go to practice. Yeah. So it was the first day of practice, and they just did there's like a half-mile loop kind of around campus, around the baseball field, it's an extra football field, and it was like a kind of a time trial to see how fast the junior high kids can go, the 7th and 8th graders.
How old are you at that time?
Second grade.
Second grade.
So,
wow. So 8, 7 years old.
Yeah. And my mom's just like, Charlie, you want to hop in if you want? And I was like, even when I was younger, I was always the first, like, one of the playground, like when they let you out for recess and stuff. I always knew I was like pretty quick. Yeah. So all right, I'll just see what I can do. And I remember just being like super, super excited. Yeah. Pretty nervous. I'm like, I'm just gonna see what I can do. So I just from the gun, I think my mom just said go or blew a whistle, just full sticked it, like took off, and no one caught me. So as a second grader, beat the 7th and 8th graders and a couple of 9th graders. So
they kind of just bashful. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, so you knew, okay, that's your aptitude.
Yeah, and I just knew right away. I was like, all right, we can be good at this. And I was, like I said, I was super competitive. My dad was a great athlete himself too. Yep. So kind of like he'd always talk about his days, playing football, being an All-American. He had a small stint with the Vikings as well. Wow. So kind of got
so you've got good genes.
Yeah, good genes help.
Put on some good genes.
My mom running marathons and all that before.
Yeah, and she's just such a passionate person. She loves running. It's kind of been part of her life forever too. So you just kind of grew up in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think I first met you probably when you were maybe junior high, going into early high school, and even back then you were a runner. Eventually through high school, had a lot of success, right?
Yeah, fair amount. 2-time state champion here in Minnesota, 3,200 meters. Yeah. So and unfortunately, a couple runner-ups, a couple third places.
So that was the mile.
32. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Was I thought growing up I wanted to be a miler. Yeah. I was 4th in the state meet as a sophomore in the mile to 3 seniors. Fast forward to my junior year, I was like, I'm gonna win the mile. Yeah. And the 32's on a Friday, and miles on a Saturday, or 16's on the Saturday. And as a junior, I ended up winning that, and I was just so excited. I didn't sleep that entire night. Wow. Pretty mentally drained for the mile, and ended up finishing like 7th or 8th, after being 4th year before, so that was disappointing. Yeah. But that's like, well, number one priority is go defend the 32 and get that again. So and just third in cross country as a junior to 2 seniors to 2 seniors again. Thought I was gonna win my senior year, ended up second. But yeah, I got 2 state titles, and then eventually was recruited to several D1 schools around the country, and wanted to stay home because the Gophers had a great program then. So
remember that. So you got the acceptance to multiple places, went D1, and then how did the college experience go? What was that like for you?
Oh, it was great. I mean, I wouldn't be here without Coach Placentia.
Really?
Plaz, if I refer to him. So I literally had dinner with him last night. So he drove up. I've been just kind of hanging out here, and wasn't able to. Been doing rehab and all that here. So he's like, hey, don't want you driving around too much. I'll drive to Foley. So nice. He came up, we had dinner. Okay. He went home, and he's literally one of my best friends. We chat every couple days.
So something about his coaching, what did it do for you? What was it about him that kind of sparked you a little bit?
So even from like a young age, hyper competitive, want to be good, right now. And he just preached like longevity and this gradual progression, nothing too steep, no exponential curves, just very, very gradual. And me not being very patient, I hated hearing that.
You wanted it now.
And super, super hungry. And he knew how to like click my buttons too. Like we butted heads several times. We're both super competitive hotheads, but like now it's just a ton of mutual respect through and through.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I was in his office, and he just goes, "Yeah, maybe see you being maybe number 3, 4 guy on the team."
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, and it's just like
that psychology. He knew that would spark you to.
Oh God, yeah, and it just
smart.
Just left his office just PO'd, PO'd.
But in a good get your butt moving kind of way, like.
Oh yeah,
wow.
And being from Foley too, here in Central Minnesota, where at that time was Class A and AA, so it was a small school, so I could show up to meets and.
It was easy not easy, but you.
Oh yeah, like I could be running a C- race and still winning by a minute. That's just kind of the level that I was at. Not kind of dissing the level here, but it's just like not as competitive.
But you're going from the cream to the cream.
Oh,
everybody that's elite is there.
D1, he's like, and he'd say, it's not that hard to look good in Class A, man. This is D1, this is the Big Ten. So, nice. And he knew that I was just, flipping that switch in me. So
was there some truth to that at the point? Were you 3 or 4, or was there like he's doing it just to kind of spark you and get you moving?
My second, third year, yeah. But then my fourth, fifth year was number 1 on the team. Then I was kind of 1A, 1B my senior year. Right. But it was just a motivating factor. So, but kind of going back to your question, where what was it like? It was very, very gradual. And that was savvy on his part. And he'd always said, "You're gonna be great on the roads one day," whatever that meant. Kind of up for interpretation. But it was just he was super, super savvy with increasing mileage, intensity, all that kept me healthy pretty much throughout it. I got injured my freshman year, mostly just because I. Just was a little undisciplined my first time away from home. Wasn't sleeping as much as I should have.
Recovery so important.
Yeah, but then kind of nailed that. Years 2 through 5 because I redshirted my freshman year with that injury. Then first time in the jersey was number 2 on the team as a redshirt freshman. That year was 4th or 5th on the team. My third year was at one point 2nd on the team. Finished at the national meet. Was our 3rd guy in cross country. 4th year number 1, and then 5th year 1A, 1B. So just very, very, very gradual, smart, and he's knew how to motivate me and knew how to progress, and gradually added on the long runs, the mileage, and I just adapted super, super well throughout the years.
So what does it do to take you from 4 or 5 to 1 on the team? Is that just putting in the miles? Is your body growing, maturing? I mean, what happens from sophomore year to senior year that got you that point?
Definitely both of those. Just and super, super methodical, and he's a numbers guy through and through. I mean, there are times where I just go in his office and he's just pulling his hair out, looking at numbers and mileage, the minutes I'd run periodically throughout the summer. You want to know all that stuff, how we're feeling, and he'd had all our mileage from. He wanted, you kept the mileage log in high school. Let me see that. I want to see what your workouts were, how many miles you ran in the summer, how you progressed throughout the season. We'll take that into your freshman year, sophomore year, junior, and all that, and gradually add a little more work, a little more intensity. And it's just also just maturing. Going from 18 to 22, 23 years old. Obviously that helps a lot.
Yep, for sure.
And just not being overly aggressive too early and getting injured. And that, again, my injury was completely on me, not him.
Right.
So
it wasn't his fault. So you progress through your senior year. Most seniors in college, even D1, they graduate and they get real jobs, right? They go and they have a career, they study something else, but you didn't. You kind of graduated when you wanted something more, right? I mean, there's something left in you that, okay, I've done good in college, but there's something more. So what happened then after you graduated? How did you know you wanted to progress to more then?
Yeah, so here's what's a little crazy. My goal was, I just want to qualify for the Olympic marathon trials.
You had that goal even back
that was
coming out 22 years old, 21 years old?
Yep. So I finished up competing the spring of 2018. And then my goal was all right, cool. I have a couple years. I think and again, Plaza always said, you're going to be good on the roads. And whatever that meant, I don't know. So I didn't make the national meet my senior year in track.
Okay.
So I'm I have all this fitness. I might as well just see what I can do at a half marathon. So, grandma's 2 hours up the road, has her half. So I'm pretty fit, track fit. I'll just jump in the half. So
that first year, so graduated in May. That's in June.
Yep.
So you went from kind of 1 to 2 mile competitions to this 13 mile competition.
Yep. So I was running 10Ks too on the track.
Okay.
So which is in that level, it's you're kind of splitting hairs. Like 10K.
10K is an event.
Yep.
Oh, you're already doing those longer
on the track. Yep. So that's like 10K training is pretty similar to half marathon training. Yeah. Relatively a little more mileage with the half, but you can kind of get away with 10K training as well. It's like I'm very track fit.
You're there. You're ready.
Yeah. Yep. So Plaid's like, hey, I'll write your training for the next month. Let's just kind of see like kind of what you can do. Yeah. And at this point too, I'd actually like locked up a full-time job in ticket sales.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, for the Gophers as a ticket sales account executive selling seasons, partial plans, and groups. Okay. Because like I wanted to work in D1 athletics, be like a Power 5 AD. That's probably not going to go that route anymore, but that was the goal at the time. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'll coach you to Graham, see what you can do. Ended up running 64:14, half marathon debut, so averaged 4:54. Wow. For that, and it's like, all right. And everyone's like, okay, if you're running 64, you can definitely run the Olympic trials time, which at that point was 2:19. Okay. So that's 5:18 pace per mile. Okay. And then right away I asked Plasma, like, what do you think that's a good goal? He's like, oh, dude, absolutely. He's like, what do you think about doing California International Marathon, which is that following December?
Okay, so you had about 6 months to get ready for it?
Yep, and he's like, I can kind of oversee your training. Like, tell me what you want to do, and then I'll tweak it. You know, like, obviously, pretty much everything I'd known up to that point was based off of what he had taught me throughout my 5 years. Yeah. There, so it's just kind of wrote down his ideas and, like, what I thought. He'd tweak them a little bit, and we went from there. So, long story short, fast forward to December, and ended up debuting at 2:16:10 for the marathon. So
that was your first competitive marathon?
First competitive marathon. Yep, wow. Debut at it, and at that point, he was 23 years old. Wow, so fastest 23-year-old in the country. Wow, what a feeling. So I had been working full-time ticket sales job. Yeah. I was running every morning at 5 a.m., like running again after work. Some days I'm in the office 7 to 7, you know, just the more time I'm on the phones, the more cash is in my pocket.
And training for a marathon's a full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're running, you're eating, you're doing quick days. I mean, it's a lot of training.
Yeah, it was hard.
So like, fitting in that's a lot.
Yeah, and also I was in my last semester of grad school as well that fall. Oh, sure. So it was just madness. Wow. But got it done, and then after that had pro contract offers. Okay. And at that point, too, it's like, you can't not do it. You know, I talked to kind of my boss, head of sales, like talked to even Mark Coyle, head of D at Minnesota. I'm like, what do you think about this? Like, I'm leaving this, what I thought was going to be a career to go run professionally. He's like, dude, you can always come back to this. You know, like you got my cell phone. Send me a text. Like, we can figure something out if and when you want to come back. Yeah. But now I've been doing this now for over 5 years. Wow. So, signed that first pro deal, essentially December 2018, January 2019. And then been doing it ever since. Yeah, moved to Michigan. Okay. Trained with the group there through 2020, through the Olympic marathon trials there. Finished 61st, which at the time was pretty disappointing. I'm not, after this past Olympic trials, I'm like, you still finished. I mean, it's carnage on that day. It's kind of a mixed bag. Like, a lot of people go for it, a lot of people die. Yeah. So I was just kind of meh, but I made the move out to Boulder after that. Okay. But wouldn't have the start, or wouldn't be here without the Hansons and Brooks for giving me that opportunity. Oh, for sure. Out of the gate.
So you're doing great at the marathon level, but now you're like, I'm made for something besides the marathon. I mean, you're kind of realizing over the last probably 3 or 4 years that I think I've got even an extra kick in there, and then that kind of gets us to this last competition where you rocked the 50K or 50 miler. So how that transition take place? So do you feel like you did well at the marathon, but it wasn't quite your race, you don't think? Or do you still think it could be?
I think I don't want to say I'm physically capped out at the marathon. I think I can still run a 2:12, 2:13, like on my best day, but that's still, I'm still not going to make an Olympic team running that, or I'm not going to win a global medal, at that level. So, and I just, throughout even college and even like with the pro group Hansons I joined after college, I was just so good at the long runs. Like, not necessarily marathon pace, like 5 flats, but I could go run 5:20, 5:30, 5:40.
Right. And somehow it has something in the tank that kept you going
forever.
Going.
Yeah, and I just had like just that mental edge. I just loved it. Where it's like you're on that line, you're not quite cracking, and it's just like lots of people, they think like, oh, it's a 25-mile day, like that's a long day, But it's like mentally, I'm like, as I get going, it feels better, at that pace. So, so I always loved it. You got to fuel properly and all that, but I'm very good at being like at that uncomfortable level for a very, very, very long time where lots of people aren't. So. Yep. I definitely credit to, you mentioned a couple years back, I credit Des Linden for that. So I paced her to her 50K world record in 2021. So and I'll say paced. Like, she did all the work. I was just kept her company.
Just kept going, motivating, kind of being, because you're a positive person. That probably was helpful for her.
Yeah, and we're good enough friends. Like, enjoy coffee together. Like, enjoy meals together. So we were actually training down in Orlando together prior to the trials this past January. But, with COVID shut down and all that, there weren't any races. And she was like, I think I want to go for this 50K world record. And and I was actually down in Arizona with her that winter. That was like March or February, March of 2021. She's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go for it sometime in April. And I'm like, well, like, I don't really have much going on. So if I can, like, just help you, like, in any way, like, let me know.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I'll have Josh, who's our agent, you know, we'll kind of coordinate it. And long story short, he like called me next week. He's like, so you're Dez's pacer for her world record? I'm like, hey, if she's good with it. So,
wow.
Yeah, fast forward to April of 2021, paced her just literally as a workout. Like, I didn't really taper. I still ran 8 and 4 the day before. Just went in and ran 5:47 pace for 50K, so 31 miles and change. Helped her a little bit, get her world record.
Yeah.
Then in my head, kind of a flip switch, and I was like, wait, what's the world record of like 50 miles? And it's like 5:48 pace.
Okay.
And in my head, I'm like, 5:48. Okay, like, you just did 5:47 pace for 50K without a taper. Like, you just hopped in and did it. Like, I was, ran an easy 10, miles the next morning.
The next morning after that, huh?
Yeah, just piece of cake. Because I'm just very good at recovering.
Your body
knows, doing those runs. Obviously, there's some sort of tax to it, but it was, felt good enough to, keep training, like, without the segment, just use that as a workout.
Yep.
So in my head, I'm like, I think I could do, 18, 19 more miles at that pace and break the world record.
Yeah.
So that's when
that's in 2021.
Yep, April 2021. That's when it first clicked.
Huh.
And at that point, my goal was to go try to win the U.S. 50K championships, which was later on in June that year. Ended up blowing up. Didn't respect the distance.
Yeah.
Thought I could just lay waste to everyone.
Yeah.
And I just blew up. Like, bonked at 22 and faded to 6th throughout the last 9
so
miles.
You're there and then trying to hold on. You just
miserable
That's
experience.
Bad feeling.
But also too, I went in with a little too cocky.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of brought me down to earth a little bit. Because I'm like, I just paced Dez to break 3 hours as a workout. Like, I can run easy, 10 minutes faster and like dust everyone in this field.
Right.
Caught up to me.
So what do you learn from those things? Because we all get obstacles, we all get boxed, we all have those. So what do you learn from those things that get you better for then the final victory that you had just recently?
Yeah, for me it was like clearly like the training's there. It was like there's a reason like you bonked. It's like, dude, it was just fueling kind of 101. And that's definitely kind of what ultimately got me really injured in early 2022 to miss all of 22 for racing essentially. Ended up having a grade 4 sacral stress fracture, which is I felt it right away, and I just kept running on it because I wanted to get to. I was at that point. I wanted a redemption at the 50K champs. That was slated for February of 2022. Felt it mid-January, 2022, and I was like, I'm so close. Got to train through it, and just ran myself to cracking my sacrum in half. And ultimately going back to the fueling part, like why I bonked in 2021, which is I think, and it was never like intentional, but I was just under fueling progressively. Probably had some red S, I would guess, in there. Was never diagnosed with it, but it was just like just ran out of gas when it really came down to it. And I'd run a couple of marathons too, even at the trials, like felt miserable, like 14 miles in 2020. Ran a marathon late at the end of the year in 2020, like that my agent put on, called the Marathon Project, and just blew up at like 18 miles too. And it was just like, the training's there, like we've done, you can nail 20 milers.
Yeah, you put in the numbers.
Milers. Yeah. The mileage behind you, it's like, so you got to figure it out. And I just wasn't.
There's so many intangibles: your sleep, your nutrition, your calories, your psych. I mean, all that stuff goes into it. So when you think about physical and mental, I mean, it's obviously both to be at the level you're at. I mean, it's obviously a little bit of genetics thrown in there, but like you said, you got to put in the time. You've put in the physical. So tell me the physical and mental, and how those both play into those goals and the things you've accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, at this level, there's always talent, like we always joke, like myself and my teammates, where I was like, there's talent versus hard work. And I always say I'm the hard work club. But really it's like, nah, I mean, we're all super talented at this level, But it's like, for me, you can go back to the marathon, it's like, I've run 2:16, that's really good, but I'm just so much better at this longer stuff because I have, I think, the mental I don't want to say the mental capacity or like the mental ability for it. I can just lock in for a long time. And I just love it. And like going to that place and sitting there for a really, really, really long time. And it just like, it's uncomfortable when it grows, but also like you just grow knowing that you're pushing yourself to this level. And that's something that I've just like always loved, like, and even through college, where going back to Plaz, where my long run starting out was 90 minutes, my second year was 100 minutes, third year got up to 2 hours. Then by my fifth year, I'm running, 2 hours and 20 minutes, for long runs. So a gradual progression. And I just adapted that aerobic well. And I'm like, I think I could go 3 hours if I wanted to, Then especially when you got the pro ranks, it's like, you're out there for 25 miles, 2.5 hours at, 6-minute pace. And I just enjoyed that, like being out there for a long time.
Yeah.
And, like sub 6 out the gate, just kind of making it uncomfortable right away and just sitting there.
Yeah.
And just, being able to, do you know Courtney Dauwalter, that name? So she's one of the best, she's the best trail runner in the world. Like, we'll just throw it that way.
Yeah.
Like, one UTMB, is one Western States. She's actually from Minnesota.
Oh, cool.
And she talks about, like, being in that pain cave and just, like, metaphorically, like, sitting in that pain cave. And for me, I'm like, I kind of take that mentality too and just, like, I'm going to furnish it. Like, I'm going to get, like a, like, put up paintings and like, just get very, very, very comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
describe that, because I don't think most of us can. You've kind of alluded to it. It's this mindset. It's this place that you want to get to. So what is that? Are you locked into almost like a meditative state when you're running that you just don't realize what's out around you? But what is that mental state? Can you describe that in words? It's different.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I just like tunnel vision or dialed is probably what I say.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just super dialed, like at the task at hand, whether it's a long run or a workout. I just kind of live for that stuff.
Yeah.
And in those race days where, like, when I, went out and broke the 50-mile world record, it was just like, it's like, just go do it, like, go execute. And that's all it was. And going back to kind of the mindset too, like, no matter how you splice it, 50 miles is far. Like, that's a long way to run. Yeah. So for me, it was just like, how do I break it down and how do I, like, deal with that level of being uncomfortable, and how, like, when I get into the unknown territory, the 30 miles plus, 35, 40, like, how do I deal with that? And it was just breaking it down, like, incrementally, like, roughly every 5 miles I was able to get my crew, my girlfriend, my dad, my buddy Shane were out there. One of my former sponsors, they're out there also getting content. And I knew I'd see them roughly every 5 miles. The aid station broke down to, like, there was kind of odd numbers. It was like, 5.5, 10.9, 13 point something, 16, but average out 10 aid stations over 50 miles. So roughly every 5. So I would just break it down to, like, make sure you're on pace right off the gate. Yeah. Like, cool, you're 2 miles in, your next bottle's 3 miles. You can run 3 miles at 5:40. Get the next bottle, like, make sure you finish it. By the time you finish, like, and it'd take probably 5 minutes to finish the full bottle of carbs or whatever I'm taking. So it's like, by the time you get 5 miles in, you're almost another mile farther. At that point, it's like, you only have another 4 miles to the next aid station. So just incrementally break it down. And obviously, like, 5:40 out the gate is pretty easy. I can run that for very comfortably for a long time. I didn't have a mile over 5:40 until mile 25. It was like 5:40 flat. Yeah. Had a couple like 5:20s in there, 5:20 mids. Yep. But it was just like, break it down, and as it gets more uncomfortable, keep breaking it down. Like, even when I got through the marathon, ended up going through the marathon like 2:28 or something during the 50 mile. And it was like, cool, like, I'm done a marathon. Like, I have 24 miles to go, and I just, like, flip back to a workout I did in Boulder, a month or so prior, where I ran 24 miles at 5:31 pace. Yep. Just like, bro, you only need to run, 5:48. Like, you ran this pace for 24 miles at altitude a month ago, like. So you can do it. Oh, yeah. You've overcome in the past. I've done this before. I know it hurts, but if I can do this next 1 mile, 2 miles, 100 yards, whatever it is, get through it, your body's going to somehow adapt, and you're going to get to the next level. And you just forget about what's behind you. You just focus on, like, forget that I already have 26 miles in my legs. And it was the same thing when I got to 60. It got really hard at about 34 is when I started noticing, because I'd done a 35-mile training day where it was like a 28-mile session in the morning. It's like, that was like a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like, miles with like half-mile recoveries at kind of marathon pace. Yeah. Then with a long cool down was a 28-mile morning with a 7-mile shakeout in the afternoon. So it ended up being a 35-mile day. So that was kind of uncharted territory beyond 35. Yeah. It started getting harder at about 34 because it was a gradual incline for about 10 miles. But at that point, it's like, dude, you've run 16 miles in Boulder as like just an easy day. So it's like, bro, you're
higher altitude.
Exactly. Yeah. So just break it down. And for me too, is, going back to the bottles, that was where it was like super, super like crucial that I like got to my bottles, got my nutrition, because I'm way in the red nutrition wise. And I just tell myself too, like I remember getting my bottle at roughly 40 miles, and I'm like, get it, just finish it. Like, you're gonna feel so much better when you finish it. Like, get your calories, you're gonna have the sugar kick, get the carbs in your system, get the electrolytes, and like, you just convince yourself, like, finish it, and then like, you're gonna feel better in 10 minutes. Just wait 10, hold on for 10 more minutes, you're gonna feel better. You get to 10 minutes, you don't feel any better, right? But it's like, well, I'm only 2.5 miles to my next bottle. So it's like, dude, just do it again.
So it's just a little bit of something, a little more energy, a little small goal to get to.
Yep, do it again. And just even like, just the focus on finishing your bottle, not even necessarily the pace. Like, you kind of know the rhythm at that point. You've been doing it for a long time. So, you're checking periodically and just making sure you're on pace and stuff. But you just give these little, not necessarily distractions, but it keeps you, it's these mini goals to like ultimately get the big goal.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. When you see a bottle, I see myself grabbing the bottle and just like falling over and sucking out like a baby and crying because it seems so painful. But
you want to, for sure.
Yeah.
And that it like, and for me too, it's like, especially like then I got to 42. So it was a double on back. So it was roughly like 13 miles out south, 13 miles back towards like the start finish. Then it's a gradual incline for roughly 11 and change. Then you turn around, they have the slight downhill back, roughly 8, 9, whatever, 10-ish miles roughly. So I'd done so much work. My quads have never run 40 miles in my life. Now I'm eccentrically loading them. Again, it's like, it's a very, very, very nice gradual downhill for this stretch. Can
you feel it though? Your quads are like,
every
it's putting
step
on the brakes.
Just eccentric loading. Just pounding. So that was miserable too. But like, again, it was going downhill. So it helped me on the pace wise. Didn't feel good on the quads. Like it was just.
So when you say didn't feel a scale of 1 to 10, like 10's like I cut my arm off. How uncomfortable are you in those times? Is it like a 5 out of 10? Is it?
Yeah, it's so interesting because there's definitely like the pain of cutting your arm off, and then there's like the pain of like hurting in a race.
But you still know you can push through it. It's not like wow.
Yeah, so and that's the thing too. I'm like my legs are still there. Like I'm looking at them, it hurts. In terms of like race pain, that was probably 8, 9, like getting up there. But it's just like you keep checking watch, you see these splits, and like the splits aren't as fast as they were early on, but you're still seeing like I'm doing the mental math too. I'm just like, dude, you're still way ahead of me, So like, you're on a good one. Like, you're breaking a world record. You just got to get to that line.
Yeah. So that was my question. So you have a GPS watch that's splitting it for you, saying at this mile you're at this split. So it's that scientific that you can look down, boom. You don't have a coach holding up signs like you're at a 5-7 pace. It's all in your watch.
Yep.
So you're coaching yourself, and then you're adjusting what you can do for the next. Okay, I've got to crank it up a little bit, or here I'm just going to hold. Here I'm going to push a little harder. Here I'm going to pull back to reserve energy. Or are you constantly micro changing your race a little bit?
And for me too, it was just for me, like I mostly self-coach. I bounced stuff off Plasma, my college coach, and then Des really we bounced much off of each other. And we had FaceTime Des the day before, and she's like, I think it's smart to have a little time in the bank. And we chatted kind of through the course. It's pretty net flat the first marathon. Then it is like gradual for 10 miles, and then the gradual 10 miles back down.
Yeah.
So it's like for us mentally, it was like if I just get to that, like I don't want to say sell out, but like work really hard, kind of that third part of the race. Because when you make that last U-turn, you're going home and you have a slight downhill.
Yeah.
So mentally, it was like I need to stay on it right here. And that's where I started seeing like 550s, 550 mids, no 6 flats. I was, even as I'm blowing up with the downhill I'm running, I had a 2 630s towards the end because I was just like really, really, really blowing up.
Really? Yeah. So you knew you had to pull back. So there's 2 things in your mind. 1, I want to win. There's somebody behind me looking to catch you. Number 2, I could get the world record. So you have 2 goals there. 1 is to win the race and beat that guy. So when you pull back to that 630, make sure you're retaining some energy.
Yep.
Do you know how far back he is behind you? Like, does somebody saying when you go through, he's 2 miles back, or you've got this much of a buffer? Do you know that positioning wise? Does somebody tell you, or how do you know that?
Yeah, and truthfully too, I did not want to be running the 630s. I was pushing as pretty much as hard
really?
as I could.
You were gunning it, and then you're like, oh, I'm slowing down. But
because it kind of flattens out a little bit over the last half.
Okay.
And I just I was already pounding my quads for the last really 8, 9 miles, and at that point too, I just had no power in my legs. I'm like, I'm picking up and putting them down, and I'm just blowing up. I'm bonking. I'm zero carbs left.
Yeah, so you can feel that I have nothing, but I'm pushing. Okay, what a terrible feeling.
Yeah, that was, and so actually I stopped at right about 47 miles. My last bottle was like 47 and a half. Okay. And I was telling myself, like, do not stop because you won't be able to start again. But my quads felt so bad.
Yeah.
So I stopped real quickly and just stood up, stretched my quads, took about 10 seconds and stretched it. Yep. So that's reason 1 was about a 630 because I stopped for about 10 seconds just to stretch. Yep. And thing 2, I felt great for about 3/4 of a mile. Yeah. And then the feeling came back. Yeah. But it was a good enough gamble just to get back on pace.
Because you said this was uncharted for you. You hadn't competed at that distance. So
no.
This is like, what do I do? Did you know you had a little buffer? The guy was a couple miles behind you, or did you know how much buffer you had?
Yeah, so Raj, the gentleman who was second, he actually just won the U.S. 100-mile championship. So he's a stud. He's number 2, 3 in the country.
Yeah.
And I knew going in that Raj was going to be there.
Yeah.
But also too, and this is not a slight at Raj, but I'm like, this it's not even going to be a race.
Yeah.
Put it Raj wasn't with me for a second.
You
of the
knew
race,
he was back there. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I beat him by 14, 15 minutes, and he
really,
it wasn't even close. But he still ran a great race. Is the thing too. So, and that was one thing too. I just mentally had to prepare. I'm like, you just got to do it alone. Yeah. Because the gentleman who had it before me, Jim, he runs for Hoka, and they like set up this perfect like course for him to go get it. He had paces and everything, and he broke it. I'm like, I don't need any of that crap.
Yeah,
like I'm just gonna go get it.
Self-sufficient. So that takes what we call an incredible mindset, right? So is that natural for you, or have you had coaching, or how have you developed the mindset you have? Because we're all trying to do that. We're all trying to have this mindset of, setting goals and, pacing ourselves, whatever, if it's in business or anything else. So tell me how you develop the mindset you have, because that's actually kind of a neat gift you have. And is it natural? Have you learned it? What's going on there?
I think a lot of it's natural. And I give a lot of credit to my parents too.
Yeah.
I remember getting in elementary school, there was like a movie store that had closed down. I forgot where, but my mom came back with a movie Prefontaine, Steve Prefontaine.
Okay, yeah.
And like, dude is just in the 1960s, 1970s, just a killer, like super cocky, super arrogant, like, his quote was somebody may beat me, but they're gonna have to bleed to do it type mentality. And I just like, and I watched that in like first, second grade, and I was like,
and that stuck in your head.
And I was like, that's the kind of competitor I want to be. So even when I was in high school, it was just like, go put people away. Like Plaz and I were talking last night, and he ran for Nike back in the day. He was a 2-time Olympian himself.
Okay.
And he was saying one of his old teammates, Matt Sundred Sr., who his son now Matt's Olympic gold medalist in the 1500, won that in Rio in 2016. But Matt Sundred Sr., who is Plaz's teammate, would just be like, I'm gonna teach these blanks a lesson. Like I'm just gonna put them away. Like no one's as tough as me, and like so I just kind of I've always had that mentality from honestly pre, and then obviously Plaz was a dog, like 1990 US 10K champion, like just a killer himself, and like he kind of saw that in me, and obviously like grew that, and really from an early age, like watching that movie Prefontaine, I'm just like, I want to be like that dude. So
do you visualize, like, do you mentally sit there in an airplane and kind of go back? Do you see yourself breaking records? Do you see yourself crossing the finish line? Do you do visualization in your prep, or do you?
All the time. Oh yeah, I'd broken that record and crossed that line 1,000 times.
Had you really?
Mind. Oh yeah. Yeah, and even going back to my injury in 2022, where like I hate cross training, I hate biking, I hate being in the pool. I was telling you earlier, like I was excited to get in the pool because I haven't. At
least you're moving.
Yeah, exactly. And for me mentally, it was like, all right, like, so 2021, I helped Des break the world record, and I'm like, I want to go break the 50-mile world record now, and that's almost a 5-hour race. So it was 4 hours, 40 minutes, 21 seconds.
Wow.
So in my head, I'm like, I'm injured, and that's the goal down the road, whenever I'm back healthy. So I'm like, why does a 5-hour bike ride like bother you? Like that should be nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, you got running for 5 hours is way harder than biking for 5 hours, So mentally I would just like even just visualize then like, going and getting this record and like mentally preparing myself to run for that long. So a ton of visualization, ton of preparation.
Yeah.
And even too, I'd looked up the course.
I was gonna say, do you study the course and see yourself on that hill?
Oh yeah.
See yourself on the decline, see yourself cramping, but mentally going through it. So you've played that over in your head before. So I've been here before. I've done this.
Yeah. And it was just to, if I do start cramping, if this happens, like obviously you want to prevent it by fueling and all that prior and fueling during. And but yeah, you try to have all the contingency plans in the world. But at the same time, it's like on a perfect day, you visualize it and you go, it pretty much went how I'd visualize it happening, which is, that's years of it though. That's truthfully about 2 years of visualization.
Yes. So. Wow. I mean, I think all of us have to do in everything we do is to visualize ourselves, one, failing or being against an obstacle. Then we have to mentally say, when it's going to happen to all of us, whether it's in business or us in medicine, there's always going to be that obstacle, and we have to visualize it and mentally get through it. And when it comes, it's like, I've been here before. I can do this. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and even now too. And, obviously there's a reason why I'm here talking, a little banged up post trials.
Yeah.
And, I'm in the pool right now, cross training, just trying to stay fit. At the end of the year is World 100K Championships. Yeah. And that's the thing too. I'm already I was in the pool this morning visualizing getting to India and trying to win a world title. It's like it's already in play, so it's like
you're using your downtime to do something positive with it.
Yeah.
That's
important. And it's either good or bad thing for me because I'm always what's next? Yeah. What's next? I'm really bad at taking downtime. It's probably why I get myself injured so much.
Hard. Yep.
But at the same time, it's like just visualization. Set that goal. Visualize getting that job. Doing XYZ. Or win that race. All that. Like just visualize it, and it's worked for me a lot. I had. Heck, even in middle school, I'd visualized winning a state title.
Yeah,
it's cool just when that comes to fruition, or being all Big Ten. And that came to fruition because of Plaz and all that, and his progression.
That's great.
It brought me up. So it's been done it for. I'm 28 now. Probably since I think I first got Prefontaine when I was 5 or 6. So 25, 23 to 25 years of kind of just put visualization into play. And
yeah, so important. Yeah. So before we cross the finish line in our interview, I want to kind of go back over the last 10 years or whenever, and tell me about a couple, like when you've hit those obstacles or something that seriously has put the brakes on those dreams. How have you kind of maneuvered through those obstacles and overcome and kind of gotten to, again, where you are today? Because we're all going to hit them. We're going to have crazy obstacles. Something's going to break us. It either breaks you permanently or you find a way to make you stronger. So what are some of those instances that you've gone through?
Yeah, it's probably just you're talking about the instances?
Stuff that's, the big outlet. You've hit a boom. Whoa, my goal was this, but now I've got to redirect that goal or replan. What are some of those things that have happened in your life that have blocked you?
Yeah.
You've overcome?
I'm pretty blessed to say this. The biggest obstacles have just been injuries throughout my athletic career. And that's just the lens that I look through at this point in my life. And that's because it's always been so important with my mom being a cross-country coach, my dad being a coach, being an athlete. Just the injuries within, throughout my career. Like I remember coming to you like the week before the state meet and getting nerve block in my knee and my quad, like I thought that was just a super, I don't say tragic, but I'm like, how am I going to compete for a state title in a week? Yeah. But it's like, just take it day by day, one step at a time, go see you, get in the pool the next day. Yeah. It's like, don't think about it like where you need to be like in a week, or in a month or a year. Think about like where you're at right now and just handle like right now. Yeah. And even when I got my first stretch my freshman year, I was like, that was probably I don't say the hardest, like the sacral that I had in 2022 was pretty hard too. Yeah. But it was just like, just take it day by day. Like I was like, oh, my career at the U is over. It's like, dude, you have 4 years, 5 years if you're redshirt, So for me with these obstacles, it's like, just take it day by day. Like go check that box for that day. Like go to the pool for that day. Or like, if it's work related, just you're dreading day at work, just take it. It's a Monday. Just take it out on Monday. Don't think about you have the whole week. Just knock out the first meeting you have. Knock out the first call. Knock out the first. Just get it for me. Just get in the
same
pool,
mindset.
Dude.
Get a small goal. Get through it.
Get through the first 20 minutes of the pool. It's like anyone can do 20 minutes. Like all right, you can do another 20. Right. You just gradually keep stacking. So for me, it's like I said, kind of the high school injury was kind of like oh no. But then it was like a week later. It's like oh yes, because you took care of it right away and just took it day by day. You didn't worry, how am I going to take care of this at the state meet? You took care of how I was feeling right at that moment. Throughout my injury in 2022 and even college, like just one day in the pool, like just 1 5-hour bike ride. Like then, you're going to do it again tomorrow, but like just worry about today. Like that's all it is. Don't think about like I could be dealing with this for months, years. Like, because that's even like I was saying, 50 miles is far. Yeah. So I didn't think about that. It's like just get to the first station, get to the first mile, get on pace.
So you still have your long-term goal, but checks. You got to kind of get through it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how like with any obstacle in life, how I approach it. Everyone has hard days, but it's like just get through the moment that you're in. Like get through that hour. Yeah. Get through whatever it might be, and like just know like it'll turn your way eventually. So
that's good. Good advice. I love that. So one other thing, so it's an individual sport. It's all about you, but it's also, I'm assuming, about team. Like there's people in your life right now that are supporting you, that are keeping you going, that are directing you. So tell me about the team around you. How important is that?
Oh, it's
with what you do.
Wouldn't be here without them. Yeah. I mean, even just like, the being here this week, my mom wanted to come in with me and all that. Like from day one, my mom, my parents, obviously like never forced me to do any of it. Yeah. There was always there to support whatever I wanted to do and just work that I wanted to do the sport that my mom knew well and that my dad had done, competitively in high school and all that. Obviously like those two, my girlfriend Allison, was at my marathon. I was at the 50 mile. She's the first person. Like I was super, and I knew I was going to get it like from the gun. I'm like, no doubt in my mind, just super confident again, had done the visualization, hit that line, went down like this, and like first person to grab me was just Allison, I'm like I'm stumbling. She's like, you did it. And I just go, told you, but I'm excited. Like she's holding me up, her, I got my team. I have my like chiropractor Kyle, my PT Mike, my massage therapist Marcus, who's a super, super close friend. Told him kind of what I was dealing with right now, and he texted me, and because he's super, super thorough. He goes, dude, I think I failed you here. And it's like, he just thought I had, kind of a glute issue. Sure. Obviously it's a little more than that. And like, he's not an MRI machine. He couldn't tell what was going on in my hip, right. So they take it personal too when something goes wrong.
They're in there with you. They're part of it. The ups and downs.
Oh yeah. And like, last time I was with him, like, he just gave me a hug. He's like, dude, it's getting better. And he's like, I love you, man. Like, let's go get Santo, which is one of our favorite restaurants. Yeah. So those guys, obviously Plaz, college coach, Dez is big. Wouldn't be here without obviously without
so
Des.
much wisdom. I mean, all these guys have done it, and gals, they've done it. There's so much wisdom to be gleaned from those that have done it before.
Yeah. And that's one thing too. And like, I don't know everything. I don't have it all figured out with training, with running, but it's like, if I don't know, I have the resources to go do it. Even the Hansons, you know, like their training philosophy, this cumulative fatigue, the heavy mileage, I get that directly from them, you know? It's great. And that's the thing too. It's like, if you ask, like, you'll get help, you know? So, and that's one thing, like, I just never be afraid to ask for help or, you know, guidance on really anything. So,
yep. So you've got to have some humility, knowing that you don't know it all, but listen and grow and keep learning. And so then I love, your mom gave me a picture of you crossing that finish line, and she, and I knew you were racing that day. So I said, hey, you know, make sure you text me. And she texted me, you crossing the finish line, that beautiful picture. So tell us about that moment. I mean, you're coming down, you've got 100 yards, you know, you've got it. You go across. What's that feel? Because most of us, you know, we're never going to feel that. So what's that feel like? One, you won. Two, it's a world record. I mean, what does that feel like? It's got to be amazing.
So this will sound weird, like, because I had visualized it and seen myself do that. So I don't want to call it anticlimactic, but it was just like, it was like, boom, you did it. Like, now it's like, what's next? Like, like for me too, because I was on probably like, I started on 4:48. For a long time, I was on like 4:43 pace, 4:44 pace. Yeah. So I was like, shoot, I slipped. I let a really good one slip, you know? So I'm like, I'm super hypercritical. Yeah. But for me, I mean, just super satisfied, man. Yeah. Like, it's great, you know? And it's like, you finish it and it's just like, it's a world record, you know? I had a call with a gentleman on Monday and we were just talking about it. And, you know, there's only 9-10 road world records, you know, from like the road mile to the 100 mile. And I have one of them, you know? And it's just like, that's
a history book kind of a thing.
Oh, it's gnarly. Yeah. It's like incredibly proud of it. Like, obviously it's super satisfying feeling, but I'm always just like, what's next? Like, I gotta go like, I let a really fast one slip, you know, because I was, you know, either underprepared or didn't feel enough or something. So that's just kind of my psyche too. Just always being super, super critical. Right. But I mean, looking back, like, it was a cool moment.
Yeah,
man. It must
just be kind of this, cool. Yeah, that's amazing. And then you were recently on the cover. What magazine was that?
Ultra Running magazine.
Yeah. So, and what pictures on the cover?
So the race that I did is called Tunnel Hill. Yep. And the reason is it's an old railroad track. So and at one point it's roughly at mile 40-ish. You go through. It's 200 meters long. It's just this dark, like old that train would go through. Yeah. And like, you can't see your feet. The only thing you can see is the light in front of you. Crazy. So one of my kind of my signature logos, I'm always wearing like sunglasses when I race. Yeah. Just kind of a swagger thing. Yeah. Like, I enjoy it. Plus, like, relax the face a little bit too. That's my cop out for just trying to look cool too. Yeah. If people ask why I always wear them. But yeah, like, I had to take those off and everything because I just like,
it's so dark in there.
Yeah, the only thing you can hear is your footsteps, you know, and I was just alone in the race, so I'm just like, just get to that tunnel and like, it's weird. Like, you didn't want to trip because you couldn't see your feet. Like, I was wearing pink shoes too, so like, can't see those. Can't see anything. Wow. Yeah, it was gnarly.
So was the picture of you coming out of the tunnel or in the tunnel?
So I was going in it. And I think that was going. So you go through it twice. You go.
Oh, that's right. It's a down and back.
You go up through it and then you turn back around. And I had known, like, the second time I went around, like, even before I got in, I just flipped my sunglasses off.
Cool. So tell me then. Okay, awesome stuff. What's your next 1 to 4 years? What are some of those next goals? Because you're goal driven, obviously. What are your next kind of 2 or 3 goals you have down the road here?
Yeah. So kind of what I mentioned earlier, U.S. 100. So here's where it gets tough. So the U.S. 100 or World 100K Championships are December 7th. Okay. I won't be able to compete in the U.S. Championships, which is that's April 20th.
It's coming up.
Yeah, that's an auto selection spot. So if I win that, you're getting an auto spot on the team. Okay. So I'm just gonna have to rely on getting selected for it based off my 50 mile. Yep. So which that should take precedent over pretty much everything else that everyone else does at the 100K Championships. My goal is I was gonna do it the same way that I raced Tunnel Hill, like just dare anyone to come with me. US Championship, just go. Yeah. Like, just dare people. Like, cool. I don't think anyone can run with me at 100K. So, with that being said, so the big goal is the World Championships, December 7th. Just get fully healthy, build up throughout later the spring, the fall, get probably decent fall of racing. I'd love to try to use a marathon as a workout prior to that. Maybe go for a PR, try to run 2:14, 2:15. Yeah. But then after that, it's kind of unique where I just called my agent last week. I'm on a 4-year cycle with the Olympics and like the marathon trials, but like every year there's going to be like a US 50K championship. There's always like US road championships at like, 10 mile, at half marathon, at like 25K. So I can always do that. There's always going to be like a US 100K championship. So there's always going to be a championship to go.
Stuff going on.
But right now, like short term this year, get fully healthy, start building up and go try to win a world title. Yeah. Get that fit. So, my backup plan, and I've kind of vocalized this to a few people, and I can just throw it on here, but if I don't get selected for the world team, I'm going to go for the 100K world record.
Oh, yeah.
Later this fall, too. So if I don't get selected, I'll know in September I'm on the team. So I can readjust my schedule as needed in the fall. But, now that I have one world record, I just want to have two. Yeah. But the cool thing with the world title is, like, that's a title. No one could take that. Like, someone could go break my record, tomorrow.
Right.
So
that's good.
And that way, too, it's like, it'd be nice to have a world title to go along with the world record. So
yeah. So tell me about, like, most of us, like me, I'm healthy and I try to eat healthy and stay fit and do all those things. But what do you do, like, to celebrate? Do you go out for a beer with the guys, have pizza here and there? I mean, how strict do you have to be at your level? Like, what is it like nutrition wise? What do you do there?
Yeah, honestly, my splurging is just going to be like probably, I don't want to call it a bougie burger, but it's going to be like, some sort of burger with like.
We have the fries, we go with the side salad.
I will go, so if I'm heavy training, I'm going to go like sweet potato fries and like extra sodium.
Energy, carbs, some salt.
It just tastes good. But besides that, I had this conversation, I think it was earlier today with Tyler, one of your employees.
Yeah.
So he was asking about that too. Like, I eat the same thing for pre-run, post-run, then lunch, and then my dinner varies.
Okay.
But do you have time to go through it? Kind of what I do?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay, cool. So pre-run's always going to be slice of bread, almond or nut butter, some sort of nut butter, typically almond butter, and then I love cream honey. I'll just do a fat drizzle on top. Yep. Lightly warm it up in the microwave for a few minutes or a few seconds. Yep. Then coffee, then I'll take a ketone shot.
Okay.
One of my partners is HVMN, so a ketone company.
Yeah.
So I'll take that, go do my activation, all that stuff, pre-run, go run, come back. I'll make just a fat smoothie right away. It's going to be like almond milk, blueberries, strawberries, frozen banana, spinach, protein powder, collagen, creatine. That's usually it. So pretty big.
Yeah.
If I'm really hungry, I'll usually go like almost double scoops of protein, so like 50-ish grams.
Yep.
Then I'll usually go out and do like my extracurricular. So if it's core, if it's strength that day, whatever I got to do, it'll be another half an hour to an hour of work.
Okay.
After that, if I'm still hungry after let's say it's a massive session in the morning, easy runs that'll usually hold me over. But let's say I do like a 20-mile morning, have an extra like bread, eggs, like avocado spread, something.
Yep.
That usually holds me over. Yeah. Huh. Lunch is just going to be like, I go to Whole Foods a lot, so I'll get like a Sonoma chicken salad or a cranberry apple tuna chicken salad. I'll like put that in a tortilla with an apple and electrolytes, or kombucha some days if I have that in the fridge.
Yep.
That's literally what I have that every single day because I run twice a day when I'm at full capacity, so I know how that sits. Go for my second run, and then dinner. If I'm cooking, it's just going to be a protein, heavy on the carb, and a veggie. So like one thing Allison and I love to do is just like miso salmon, white rice, and then like broccoli or cauliflower.
Okay. Yeah.
Super standard, super easy. Checks the protein, carb, and a veggie.
Yep. You're getting all healthy carbs, healthy fats.
Yep. Then if I'm still hungry, just load up on more carbs. Usually if I want dessert, I'll have like some yogurt. Then before bed, I'll do like usually another protein shake.
Yeah.
So
we've all heard like Michael Phelps' calorie intake. Do you have a little higher than average calorie intake if you add up your total calories a day with all the carbs? Are you putting a lot in there to get those glycogen stores up? Or?
Yeah. So I don't really add a ton, or I don't really add my macros or anything like that. But it's definitely over 3,000. Not higher than like 3 mid. Okay. There's days where let's say I have like a big marathon type session. Like with that breakfast, I'll have a full banana. I'll have typically it'll be like 100 to 120 calories of just like it's called fuel. It's like my nutrition sponsor Raw. So it's just 24 grams of carbs, 300 milligrams of sodium. I'll have that. I also have electrolytes too first thing when I wake up in the morning before my coffee. Just kind of replenish that. But then throughout like a workout, I'll have typically every 5K to 5 miles, I'll have another 20 to 40 grams of carbs, depending if it's a gel or electrolytes. If it's a big workout, just to keep that topped off, and honestly helps with recovery too, and obviously the session. Yeah. So that adds up over time as well. But total calorie wise, like I said, on a slow day, on a typical training day, 3,000-ish, I would guess.
So higher than average, you're loading up a little bit.
Yeah, heavy day is definitely like probably 4 mid. Like just even during my 50 miler, I ended up putting down just under 2,000 calories. Like it was 1,900 of. Wow. And here's the thing, like it's all sugar, it's gels. You feel disgusting after. But it's just like you just know you need to put it down.
You burn it right away.
Yeah. But to kind of celebrate, like even there's some days where when I'm in heavy training, I still eat pretty clean, like a salmon and white rice. But it's like if my buddy Garrett texts me, or we want to go like Indian, like I love like a lamb tikka or something, or like even there's a burger joint called the Sink in Boulder we love. That just like awesome.
You gotta celebrate and have.
Oh yeah. So no, I love Go having a cold on occasion. When I'm trying to recover in heavy training, I really don't drink at all.
Yeah.
Just because it's not gonna help with recovery. I know I don't sleep as well.
Yep.
I used to wear a Whoop. I've since taken that off because I know as soon as I have a beer, like, I'm gonna be in the yellow, and that just kind of messes with me mentally a little bit.
You just don't want to know.
But yeah, and for me, it's just like ultimately, like I can't really overeat, but just as long as I'm making sure I'm putting in the right stuff too. But on like again, a burger, even if it's like a bacon avocado burger, it's like you got the healthy fats. Yeah, you got the bacon, that's fine. The burger's gonna help a lot. You got the carbs in the bun. And even too, like I love just even like fried cauliflower. Even though it's fried, you're still getting some sort of veggie with it too. So we're appetizing people too, so we'll throw on the apps. So that's a typical day. Same first, really pre-run, post-run, and lunch. Yeah. Same. Like, because I know exactly how I feel throughout the day, how I recover, and how the second run's going to feel.
Right, you probably dial it in. So my last question for you is, so for anybody from that 8-year-old who was you know, many years ago, to that 18-year-old who's trying to get a D1 scholarship, to that 28-year-old who was just inspired by you, to that 60-year-old who has a business and they want to kind of take to the next level, what kind of advice do you give those people? I mean, what would you be telling these people that want to set some goals, set some dreams? What's your advice to those people?
I'd say don't shy away from the work, and just asking advice from people that know, is probably my best thing, because whether it's, for example, I've like gone out on the record and asked like the CEO of one of my sponsors, HVMN, like, hey, obviously I'm not gonna be doing this forever. Like, if you identify any strengths in me, like, let me know, because if you can see it being a value add to, your company later on, let me know, because I'd love to help you in any capacity. Obviously, I'm helping you as an athlete role right now, representing the brand, but if you see XYZ in me, let me know if you think that'll help, and then tell me, or if you see like and if there's any opportunities, let me know, or tell me things that you think I can work on, whether it's business acumen, all that. So just ask for advice. Even my profession with running, it's like if I see heck, just like one of my old teammates, Dathan, coaches on athletics club in Boulder, it's like Dathan's the text away. Like, I have random questions for Dathan all the time, and it's just like, I know I'm not bothering him because I know he's always willing to give advice. Same with Des too. It's like, she's always people always want to talk to Des, so it's like I don't want to be the one person that's be like, what's he want now? But she knows I just genuinely care and want to learn. So whether the field, like, reach out to someone that you might know that has been there and done that. So that's cool. That's something I never shy away from.
Yeah. That's good. Sounds like you're vulnerable. You're looking for improvements on your weaknesses. You're maximizing your strengths, but you're open to advice and things. So that's great. Well, I just want to thank you for doing this. This was awesome. It's really fun actually hearing your story. I didn't know the whole story until now. So next time you're back in town, let me know. We'll kind of follow up, and I'm going to see kind of how your goals are playing out. And if we can help in any way, always let us know. So, but yeah, thanks for being here. It was really fun.
Of course. Yeah. No, love being here and love what you got going on. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on this podcast. If you're looking to enhance your health and wellness, consider visiting Rejuve Medical for personalized care and innovative treatments. Learn more at rejuvemedical.com. And don't forget to explore our other podcasts for more expert insights on living your best life. Subscribe now and continue your journey towards optimal health.